Every upset derives from a should. I'm Tara. I'm a holistic and spiritual coach. I help people uncover beliefs that no longer serve them. Unearthing these beliefs allows for more peace, freedom, and ease in life. I've been noticing that a lot of people are upset. You've probably noticed it too. Social media helps us see what people are really dealing with. And it's easy to get sucked into a rabbit hole of, people having a particular belief that's fear-inducing. And it's my preference to stay out of those rabbit holes. But I do, even though I stay out of those rabbit holes and stay away from those trends and ideas, I still see a lot of people sharing about the struggles that they're dealing with. And it's people of all ages. And, a lot of them are not necessarily upset about what they're dealing with. They maybe don't like it, but it doesn't mean it has to, be so distracting from their life that they can't live their lives. But there are times when we can't seem to get past something. Something is super annoying, something's very upsetting. It could be something petty, and you just can't get past it. So what is it that causes upset? Well, upsets derive from believing that something should be a way that's different than the way it is. I think in Buddhism there's a phrase, what is? It's just what is. The world is the way the world is. Your in-laws are the way your in-laws are. The meal you've been served is the way the meal is. Traffic is the way traffic is. And it's when we expect it to be another way that the upset is present. That's the initial part, I think. We expect it to be another way, and then it isn't that way. And then we have to rectify or deal with that it isn't the way we expect it or want it to be. And then we get an opportunity for acceptance. Can you accept the meal the way that it is, the traffic the way that it is, your in-laws the way that they are, the world the way it is? Can you accept it? Acceptance isn't the same as liking. Using the meal as an example, can you accept that the meal doesn't taste the way that you'd like it to taste, even though you don't really like it? Every upset derives from a should. This is just another way of saying that acceptance, this is another way of saying a lack of acceptance brings discontent. It's when we reject things or resist things that we run into what we might call problems. Something should be a way other than the way it is. Politics should be some other way. You might think your body should be some other way, and that might bring upset. Can you accept your body the way that your body is? When we accept things the way they are, we open a space for change. When we reject things or resist, we're met with resistance. That's just the way it works. When there's something that you don't like in the world, something that's happening in your life that you don't like, a personality, it's going to keep showing up. Get to a space of acceptance. Identify the should that you have. What do you say it should be? And how is it? I think this meal should taste great, and it doesn't. I think my body should be more curvy, and it isn't. I think my in-laws are too cold. They should hug more. I think my in-laws hug too much. They shouldn't hug me so much. I think the world should be at peace, and it isn't. Can you accept it the way that it is in order for change to occur around you? Is that meal going to instantly become delicious because you accepted it the way that it is? It's probably not going to change. but maybe you'll be able to enjoy it more. And maybe you'll find yourself at meals in the near future that are much more tasty to you. Or you'll be a lot more peaceful about meals that aren't going the way you want them to go. Will in-laws be different the next time you see them because you changed? Probably. If you truly get to a state of acceptance, they will probably behave differently the next time you see them, or soon. Something shifts when you shift. You are, as we all are, a powerful vibrational force in the world. And your mind is fully connected to that. It's almost like it's an antenna. And so when you turn the resistance off, you get flow. And when you are flowing, things around you will begin to flow and change and move differently than they do right now. So right now in this moment, you've got a meal in front of you. You want to eat it. It's not that bad, but it's not as good as you thought it should be for whatever reasons you thought it should be. And you accept it the way that it is. The food might not change, but you might find something in it that you do like. You might find that you're okay with it. You might find that meals in the near future taste a whole lot better because you have accepted something the way that it is. It shifts something in your world and in your being. The being that you are is now willing to accept something that it was not previously willing to accept. And when you do that, things around you change. Will the world, all the world, be at peace because you've accepted the chaos that it is? Not all of it, but your immediate world and what you experience will probably begin to look different. And the more you accept it the way that it is, the more it changes. And the more you will see the things that you wish to see. When we resist something, we begin to notice the thing we don't like, the thing we want to resist. It's all around us. It's everywhere we go. When you throw out the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, and you step out of resistance and into acceptance, you will see more of the things that you want to see in the world. You will be much more at peace. You will find yourself in better situations with people who are less resistant, more accepting. You will find doors opening that have never opened before. You'll find opportunities showing up that you couldn't see before. It is almost like taking blinders off. Blinders are these things they put on horses to block their peripheral vision, helps them stay on a path. When you have resistance about certain things, you're blind to other possibilities. And so when you release that resistance and step into acceptance, it's like you take that blind spot away. You take away the blinder, and now you can see things that you couldn't see before. So what are the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, or we might say the should be's and the shouldn't be's, that you have going on right now? Every upset is derived from a should. Every upset is rooted in resistance, a lack of acceptance. Let go of your shoulds, let go of your shouldn'ts, let go of resistance, and watch your life flow. An interesting part about this is that if you let go of resistance in one thing, one area, even if it's small, you will probably relinquish resistance in some other areas. Let's say you're in an area where you're having trouble finding parking. You're getting frustrated. If you can, in that experience, just get yourself to a point of, this moment is the way that it is. I accept it as is. Because the upset is your resistance. The frustration, the anger, the driving faster, the thinking about cutting other people off so that you can get that parking spot, being mad that somebody took that spot. All of that is resistance. It's all a should too. I should have a parking spot by now. They shouldn't take my parking spot. These people shouldn't be in the way. There should just be more parking right now. There shouldn't be all these cars. Shoulds and shouldn'ts, the source of every upset. Shoulds and shouldn'ts are a resistance to the way things are. You can know that you're resisting because you're upset. And upset simply means not at peace. If you're truly at peace, you're in a state of acceptance. And if you can just be a little less resistant, a little more accepting, you're going in the right direction. There's no perfect way for you to be. You can simply move in the direction of what brings you more peace. I think the most important acceptance is the acceptance of yourself. Like in this moment, it's okay to be where you are. So if you do find yourself looking for parking and you are frustrated and you remember this podcast and think, I really wanted to be at peace and I'm so not, and I don't know how to get there right now. I'm so frustrated with all these people. I'm so angry. I can't believe I'm late. You've got all that going on and you can't find the way to get to acceptance about the parking. Then can you get to accepting that you are upset? Can you get to the acceptance of your struggle with acceptance? I'll say it another way. Can you accept that you're in a state of resistance? You're in your car. You're looking for parking. You can't find any. There's cars everywhere. There's cars looking for parking. It's crowded. You're frustrated. You have to get somewhere. Somebody cuts you off. Everything is going wrong. Upset, upset, upset. Can you accept that you're upset? Maybe you can't accept that the parking situation isn't working. Maybe you can't accept that people aren't kindly driving around. Maybe you can't accept that you're running late. But can you accept that you're upset? Can you accept yourself in this moment, that you are struggling with resistance? It's okay. It's okay to be working on yourself and not be in that perfect state of peace all the time. It's better to be real about it than to pretend it. There's a lot of reasons that it's better. It's better for you because then you're real and honest with yourself about where you are. And when you are upset, it's acceptable to be upset instead of feeling like it has to be suppressed. It prevents you. That's the first thing. Another thing is suppressing emotions, suppressing all of that causes symptomology. You get symptoms. Might be digestive symptoms, might be headaches, might be more severe than that. But when you choose not to suppress your emotions, you lower the chance of having those kind of problems related to suppressed emotions. Another benefit is people around you know who you are. They don't have to wonder if you're upset. You'll be someone who can communicate that because you haven't been suppressing it. When we suppress it, it gets built up inside. We explode or don't, or gets handled in some other way, passive-aggressive behavior maybe. But when you don't suppress those emotions and you accept that, yes, I'm upset, yes, I'm angry, yes, I'm sad, and it's okay that I am these things, that's the acceptance. Then the people around you can trust that you're going to be readable. They're going to recognize you for who you are in the moment. And another reason is you will move through the challenges more quickly than if you're telling yourself it's not okay to be upset, it's not okay to be angry, it's not okay to be sad. All those feelings are okay. They're normal. Normal human feelings. And when you accept yourself as you are, with all your emotions, then you become someone who can accept others as they are. It gets a lot easier. And then your frustrations with others begin to recede, and they begin to experience the acceptance of the space that you bring to your interactions. And then it begins to spread. You accepting yourself allows you to accept others. Those others have the experience of being accepted, belonging. The way they are is okay. And then they begin to shift in your space. And then eventually they become a space in which others experience acceptance. And then those others eventually grow into a person who hold the space for others. And those others experience being accepted. This is the beauty of acceptance. Not only do you get peace, but you become someone, when someone interacts with you, they experience the acceptance. And then it spreads, it keeps going, person to person. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets. I think another part of this is going back to the shoulds. is that people would really like their lives to be without trials and challenges. They just would like it to be easy. And if we pay attention to life, we'll notice that there are times when it's easy and there are times when it's difficult. And this is just the nature of the earth experience. We have a whole range from absolutely horrible to incredible bliss. Like, that can be experienced from the human range of experiences. And we fluctuate between those, Hopefully not many people are experiencing the truly horrible and are staying more in a middle range of like really happy to that was hard. I think that's probably where the majority of people spend most of their days. And of course, we all have times that are harder and we all have times that are more beautiful. Eckhart Tolle teaches, his message is that if everything is going right for too long, we will create something to bring suffering, because it's through the suffering that the opportunity for growth presents itself. It's like we get bored. We get bored with too much ease. And even in, what I'm talking about right now, the example of looking for a parking space at a time when you need to be somewhere, even that, you have an opportunity to practice non-resistance, to practice acceptance. Can you be with the moment as it is? Here's the struggle. Here's the potential suffering of being stressed out and angry, looking for a parking space. Can I choose another way to be? Not pretend another way. That's important. Pretending is suppressing emotions. People are pretending all the time. But can you be in that moment, the way that it is and the way that it's not, and be at peace? And if you can't do that, can you accept yourself as someone who's not able to be at peace in this moment? And not tell yourself it's wrong to be upset. It's not wrong to be upset. It's just not peaceful. Sometimes just the noticing of your view that you have a should in place is enough to begin to give you freedom. You look out on the world and you recognize for yourself that you've been saying, the world should be another way. Just noticing that you have that going on in the back of your mind all the time can begin to give you peace. There's something about seeing the inner workings of your mind that bring them forth. It's like giving it a voice. Instead of it having to be back there just constantly repeating itself, it's now been seen. And by seeing it, the mental pattern, by seeing the mental idea, it's like hearing something. If you've ever had the experience of needing to be heard, and finally someone hears you, it's like there's a sense of belonging and peace and the ability to relinquish whatever you were holding on to, at least somewhat, just by being heard, by being seen by another person. Your mind works the same way, and doesn't always have to be another person. You don't have to tell someone that you're frustrated with the chaos of the world, or that the world should be another way, or that parking situation should be another way, traffic patterns, in-laws, meals, whatever the issue happens to be. Sometimes just noticing that you have that thought going on allows it to just kind of dissipate, just by bringing your awareness to it. And some things, they won't dissipate. And that's when you have to bring your awareness, your attention to them, your willingness to allow them to be there while you work on them. It's okay to have things to work on. No matter how spiritual you are or would like to be, there's always more to work on. And the acceptance of that brings peace. Sometimes I think I've worked through something, like just dust my hands off, I'm done, just put that in the past. Yay, I did it. And then along comes something that triggers the part that isn't fully healed, And then I'm like, well, there we go. There's more to work on. When I first started, working on these types of things, 10 or 12 years ago, I guess I started longer than that, but before I realized that it's okay that think you thought you worked through it, but you didn't. I would get frustrated about that. So then by doing that, I go, oh, I thought I healed this thing, and here I am triggered about it. And triggered just means I'm not peaceful. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean a big emotional thing. It could just be a little bit. But you're just not peaceful. And then being frustrated that I'm not peaceful. So it's lack of peace on top of a lack of peace. And that's why I say it's important to, when you realize you're upset, to accept, like, hey, I'm upset. I don't know how to work through this right now. I don't have the space for it. And that's okay, and it's okay that I'm upset. We can accept something in a situation. If we can just accept one thing, we're moving in the direction of more peace. I remember a story that I read about a father and his son, his young son. His son's toy got broken, and his son was extremely upset. We're talking like 4 years old. And the father was just kind of like, it's just a toy. He's just like, I couldn't understand his upset, and I got frustrated that he was so upset, and he didn't know how to handle it. And it wasn't too long after that he had a fender bender, and the father's car was damaged, and he was angry about it. He was really mad that his car was damaged. And he realized after that experience that, he has things that he's attached to also. And it gave him some space to understand that for his son, it's this toy car. In the father's mind, it's just a toy car, but for the son, it's his possession, his thing that he's attached to. And so I mentioned that one for parents who maybe are struggling to understand their kids around something like this, accepting their children's upset, or accepting, something with their child. But also just accepting things with other people. Other people you might be working on for yourself, acceptance of something. You gain that acceptance, you move forward, you're successful in it, and then somebody else around you is still struggling with it. You might find yourself frustrated with them. This is something that humans do with each other. Just try to remember that you had your own struggle, and it'll be something completely different. Maybe you've never had a struggle with the issue that this other person is having, but you can remember having had your own struggle with something, and that can help bring you peace around another person's struggle where you've been finding some frustration for yourself, that other people haven't moved through something. Seems silly that I have to mention that. You might think, well, nobody does that, or I don't do that. Some people do, though. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it, and just internally, like seeing others talking about something they're dealing with, and internally me thinking, I don't struggle with that, and I'm further along the journey than they are, and just having an opinion and a judgment. And I remember doing that, and just as I've grown in spirituality and moved further on my journey, realizing that our journeys unfold in whatever way they're meant to for each of us. And so one person can be very advanced around a certain issue, while another's advanced around a different issue, and they're both struggling in opposite ways. And the beauty of that is that we can support each other. So rather than passing judgment, I've grown into somebody who recognizes that, my struggles are different from someone else's, but they're still there. And perhaps if I've moved through something, then I can be the space for another person to move through it, and they can do the same for me. You may have times where you feel that someone is judging you, and that really upsets a lot of people. I've had many people tell me that one of the issues they run into is that they feel that someone's judging them. I've actually had quite a few people tell me that. And I understand. I'm not too concerned with that myself these days, but there was a time when I really was definitely affected by that. And there are certain situations now where that still comes up, and I just do what I do to work through that. But one question I'm thinking about how to approach that. in a podcast? How do I just monologue about that? If you feel that someone's judging you, then you have a should. You have a should that they should. It's really a shouldn't, right? They shouldn't be judging me. And so this still comes to resistance and acceptance. So why shouldn't they be judging you? Why can't they just judge you? That's over there with them. And can you accept that it's happening? Now, it's hard for a lot of people. Being judged is a big deal. It's exactly what we're talking about right now. Do you ever pass judgment on other people? Do you ever judge anyone? Really think about that. Because there are people who would say, I don't judge. But judging, an assessment, and deciding if we like or don't like something, we think something's bad or good, all of that is judgment. We prefer, don't prefer. It's very much human nature to do that. Acceptance is a conscious effort. It's trained. We teach ourselves to do that. I have a suspicion that when you feel that someone's judging you, you're judging them as bad for judging you, or wrong. They shouldn't be judging me. That's wrong. That's still a judgment. They're judging you and you're judging them. You're judging them while they judge you. What do you do about that? Maybe you can just be the observer and observe that they're judging you. And actually, you don't know if they're judging you. You think you know what's going on over there in that brain, but you don't really know. So it's my guess that when you think someone's judging you, it's a judgment that you have of yourself. So it's a lack of self-acceptance. That person's judging the way that I wear my clothes or my hair. That person's judging my car. That person's just judging me. What would there be to judge if you accepted yourself? If you were in full acceptance of who you are and how you are and the way you look and all of those things, what would there be for someone else to judge you for? If you fully accept yourself, you are not going to care what others think. Because it just won't matter. Because you'll be in full acceptance of yourself. So now we're back to accepting yourself the way you are and how you are. And that's a doozy. Most people don't. But we can always begin to and move in the direction of self-acceptance. Can we accept the mistakes we've made? Can you accept the mistakes you made? Can you accept the choices that didn't pan out? Can you accept the times that you broke or damaged something? If you can, you'll be able to move into new things. It's when we hold on to the mistakes of the past that we're afraid to take steps in a forward direction. Because when we're judging ourselves instead of accepting, we have fear about taking risks again. If something came to mind that you haven't been able to move on from or accept about yourself or your past, it might be worthwhile to come back to it and process it. If it came to mind, it wants your attention. Maybe write it down. Tuck it away somewhere. You'll find it exactly when you need it. You'll go through your bag or that pile of papers on your desk and find it and go, oops, I'm ready. Finally, I'm ready to look at this thing. Life has a way of putting right in front of you what you need most and what you're most ready for. If it came up today, maybe today's the day. If it seems like too much, just tell yourself, I'll work on this in the near future. Today it just feels like too much. but make sure you go back and revisit it. You can tell yourself, I don't want to handle too much of this at one time. If it's a big deal or a big thing, very emotional, you can just say, I don't want to take on too much of this, so as I work on it, I only want what I can handle. And you will only show yourself what you can handle. It's a beautiful thing. I hope that this podcast has served you in some way. Thank you for listening. Be well.